Yeah, that's it. I wanted to record this. You will not be recorded, the guys that are attending, so don't worry. Nothing that comes to the participants. It's only the my talk that will be recorded. So what we're gonna do is go over 6 steps in what I call goal management. I don't want to call it goal making or goal setting, markmiðasetning. I mean, we have to do that. We have to, if we want to reach our goals, we have to set goals. But I call it goal management because I think to reach any goal or any dream is that we sort of have to have the right management system. That's simply how it is. It's basically a wistfulness to just set a goal and wait for it to happen. Yeah, I think we all know that actually. I think we all tested it. I'm pretty sure that the ones that are listening and the ones that are watching the replay and the ones who are on Instagram Live have experienced setting a goal. Like especially now in the New Year's, everything is so fresh, and we have this fresh snow here in Northern Iceland at least. Really fresh, everything's so fresh, and we're like, yeah, I'm gonna, reach this goal that I've been trying to reach for many years, or something brand new, or something that I'm just aspiring now, and I'm just gonna, go for. And we all know what happens a lot of time is that we sort of go in full force, like absolute full force, and then we sort of just crash after 2 to 3 weeks. It's very, very, very common. They actually talk about there's a specific date. I think it's 19th of January. That is like the date that people, fail on their New Year's resolutions. So I'm not going to call this New Year's resolutions. I want to call this something like dream building or habit creating, dream, yeah, something more like that. Let's think about that. But I wanted to start by, I know this is I have to have a little intro before we start. You have to excuse me. We will be going into this very, very, very quickly. But I wanted to say that it's right now there's new moon, and I know that not everybody is into like this moon stuff and astrology and everything, but I really like it. It gives me life. It gives me happiness to sort of follow up on how I operate when it comes to where the moon is in its cycle. And during a new moon, I have, like through the last 2 years since I started sort of following up a bit on it, I have found that the new moon is really the time that I sort of tend to go inwards and sort of have more insight into my spiritual life and my my goals and stuff. Sorry, it's also a time where I'm not as outgoing. So it's also like a bit of a, hi Mala, welcome. It's also a bit of a challenge to sort of be more out there. So I mean, doing a masterclass online or like a webinar online is very good, but it also requires, of course, social skills and having energy and all that. And so that's something that I'm really working on. And actually, I have those exercises that I try to use to keep my state up, and that's something that I would love to share at some point. Yeah, I was asking you guys earlier. The only thing I'm asking you is to be my cheerleader. It's just, if I make a mistake, just please applaud or something. I'm not kidding. I really, that's the only thing I ask for, because I know I'm gonna make mistakes. I have ADHD for sure, so I know that I will go off track at some point, but I have a plan and I will try to stick to it. And the ones that registered online should have the workbook now in their email inboxes. If you need it, I can email you afterwards. At this point, I'm not going to spend time on, emailing things. I think all of you that are inside here should have it at least. You don't have to use the workbook. It's just something that I threw together last minute, to be honest. I would love to spend more time on it later, but I really just felt like it would be good to have something tangible, something, if you have a printer, you can print it out just to write things down, and there are some exercises, but it's also absolutely enough just to have you know, a notebook or just pen and paper or whatever. Some people like to note on their computers, but I really recommend doing it with pen and paper, because I believe, and I think it's actually scientifically proven, that we manifest things better when we handwrite, when we sort of put it down on paper. Only by writing it, even though we will not read it again, something happens, you know, there's something that, you know, manifests in ourselves by writing it. So I really, really, really recommend that. And that's something that I use a lot myself. I wanted to tell you about one thing that I did yesterday. It was new moon, but it was quite almost a coincidence. I went home to my parents in Borðoddalur, and I was gonna do like a little burning ceremony. I was gonna burn some things, but the weather was horrible. It was like a snowstorm, or like, you know, it was too windy. So I didn't, but I wrote down on paper something that I will be burning at some point, maybe tonight. We'll see if I have the capacity. I'm not recommending necessarily doing this, but for me, it's like physically taking something and just, you know, doing something physically with it is very powerful. And what I basically did was that I wrote down on a piece of paper everything that I want to leave in 2021, just that I just, you know, I'm not taking with me. I found a lot of things that I don't want to take with me, and I'm like, whoa, a lot of things that I'm gonna try to not take with me. But I think only by writing those things down, for me, it really sort of like, yeah, that thing, you know, and like, why don't I want to take it with me? Because usually it's because it doesn't serve me, it doesn't serve my purpose, it doesn't serve my dreams and goals. So I wrote a lot of things down, and I will be physically burning this at some point. Maybe some more things that I find around that I don't want to take with me to 2022. But I'm just going to give you some examples. Excuses, that's one thing I'm not going to take with me. Excitement, spennufik. Yeah, everybody understands that, spennufik. I know it sounds horrible, but I think many of us have this kind of a spennufik. In a way, it doesn't have to be bad in all aspects of it, but yeah, that's something that I'm gonna get rid of at some level at least. Uppgjöf, or giving up. Imposter syndrome. Gömul hugarmynstur sem þjóna mér ekki. Samviskubit yfir what's samviskubit? Regrets, or, you know, overdoing something like food, sleep, taking downtime. I'm not gonna feel bad about taking downtime. You know, these are all, some of this sounds so silly, but yeah. A lot of things. I recommend doing this, just writing them. I'm not gonna take these things with me and then burn it. I think that's the type of the rúsínan í pylsuendanum, like we're saying. Okay, let's move on. Yeah, the last thing I want to mention before we move on is that about belief. I think belief is one of the greatest things we can ever sort of implement in our life to achieve something, or to make our dreams come true. Religion is not necessarily what I'm referring to, but religion is one type of belief. It's a belief system that some people use and works for. But I think to get through life in a way that feels authentic and true to us, where we feel like we are really serving our purpose, is that we have to create some kind of a belief system for ourselves, if we are not already actively, you know, participating in a belief system. So yeah, I really recommend just thinking about that, just going in with like what's he talking about. I mean, it's really interesting. I'm reading the book Sapiens at the moment, and it's a great book. I mean, it's really interesting. It's quite thick, and one of my New Year's resolutions is to read more and have more focus on reading. So yeah, just want to tell you that. And he talks about that, like our systems, like all our human systems, just like Western economy, these are all belief systems. These are just systems that we created for ourselves so that we could somehow, you know, have systems in. Getur þú lokað? Takk. Já, einmal. All right. So that's just something to think about, because if we don't believe in anything, I think we will lose on serving our purpose. Yeah, I just wanted to throw that in. Okay, so the first thing we're going to cover is clarifying our goals. And what does that mean? It means that if we have a specific goal, like I recommended having like 1 to 3 goals coming in here, but you don't have to have anything specific at the moment. You can also just sort of try to find something that you want to work on, or not, or just, you know, get ideas or something. But in your workbook, you have on the first page, there's something that I called jealousy log. And that sounds for many people probably awful. It's like jealousy log, like what does it mean? That's awful. Jealousy is something that we tend to have. I think that every human being experiences jealousy at some level. Öfund, or afbrýðisemi in Icelandic. It's a normal feeling. This is something that is absolutely normal to feel. And if we wouldn't, I think something would be wrong. Or, you know, we would be at a very, very, very good place if we didn't. But I think it's very human. It's very normal to feel jealousy. What jealousy can give us, and the information jealousy can give us, is invaluable, because it tells us that when we see a person or experience something that we're jealous of, it tells us that there's something inside us that wants that. And that is such valuable information, because sometimes we don't know what we want. We really don't. It's like, you know, just we do something and we are doing what the society tells us to do, and we're shooting all over ourselves, like, because we should be doing that, we should be doing the other thing. But then, you know, if we feel jealousy towards somebody, we know that's something that we want, and that's something that, you know, so why not use jealousy, or, you know, when we feel jealousy, to sort of just look inside ourselves and see, like, what is it about that person or this thing that makes me jealous, that sparks this feeling in me. And what I want you to do now is, if you have the workbook, you can write on the first page. If not, if you have a journal or paper or something, or if you're driving or whatever, you can just think about this. But I'm going to give you 2 minutes, literally 2 minutes, to write down something, like, think about somebody who for you is a high achiever, like somebody who is like a framúrskarandi einstaklingur. And while doing that, yeah, think about what about that person makes you, I'm not going to say you have to be jealous of that person, but just, you know, like, what about that person makes you sort of think about them as framúrskarandi einstaklingur, as a high achieving person. And it doesn't, I also want to sort of make sure, you know, be sure about that you don't think it has to be like a person that's like a movie star or the president or anything like that. It can be somebody from your very daily life, from your normal life, and preferably it should be that, because then, you know, have somebody close to you that you can sort of research and copy, if that's what you would want to do. But it can be, those can be qualities that, just like being a good mother, or a great driver, or a good teacher, or, you know, just a very giving, genuine person. You know, those can all be depending on what your values are like and where you're heading. So I'm going to give you 2 minutes to write this down, literally, and I'm literally going to stop for 2 minutes, and then I will let you know when 2 minutes are finished, because I'm going to ask you to do this right now. So 2 minutes are starting now. Okay. Thank you. You can, of course, proceed afterwards with this if you didn't feel like you could finish writing. But let's move on. I'm going to share the screen again here. And please ask questions if you have questions. Don't hesitate to do that. Write in the chat. And if you want, if there's anything you really feel like you have to say, you can also write in the chat. Can you unmute me? So don't hesitate to do that. About our goals. I don't know if this this journaling about someone that that inspires you or makes you feel jealous feelings, which, like I said, is something that is absolutely normal for us. If anything is sparked in you regarding new goals, that's great. And it would be awesome for you to write those down, maybe on one of the notepads in the workbooks or just in your journal or your notebook. So clarify goals. Why do we have to clarify them? If I have a goal of losing weight, I hate using this as an example, but it's just so relatable and tangible, and so many of us unfortunately relate to it because of how our society is pressuring us and everything. But okay, let's say I want to lose weight. So how do I lose the weight if I don't know like how much I'm gonna lose and in which time? So basically we can go through the SMART system. Actually, you see there. I mean, I'm not like a super great fan of the SMART goal system or whatever you call it, but it's something that's good to have in the back of your head. It stands for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-based. Oops, it's supposed to be time-based. So specific would be like I'm gonna lose this amount of weight, or this amount of weight by doing this on Wednesdays and Thursdays, and I'm not gonna do this and that. Measurable, how much, in which time frame. Actually, the time frame is there. Yeah, sorry. I'm very bad at using the SMART system, but this is something that works for some people. It's good to have sort of check off. Attainable basically means that it's raunhæf in a way. This is something that is controversial because in a way, if you set yourself a goal and it's attainable, it's be something that you could do today. So this is a matter of being attainable within a specific time frame. When you set a goal, like a long-term goal, it could be something that is absolutely not attainable for you now. But if you do the right steps and create milestones and create smaller steps towards it, it could be, and it will be. So attainable steps for sure. Relevant, it has to be relevant for you at this point. And like I mentioned, it has to be time-based. It have to be deadlines. That's quite important. So those on Instagram, please, if you want to, you can join on Zoom in the link in my story. Then you can see the slides as well. What I think is really important here, and that it's important. So the goal that you set yourself, I think this is the most important thing. It should be important, because if it's not important, it's not going to happen unless it's a very easy goal. It has to be important, and this is something that we have to go inwards to sort of get the answer to. Like, why is this important to me? What is it about this goal that will change my life, that will create something better for my family or for myself or for society or whoever? And I will make you do an exercise a bit later to sort of figure that out with one or some of the goals that you have. Also, what I add is it should be interesting. I know this is hard in some cases because sometimes you have to work on something that you aren't super interested in. Like it could be something related to work. Maybe you're in a university and you're taking a course that you just like hate. But then I recommend trying to find a way to make it interesting. Just make those things that we have to do those goals that we have to achieve by some level or at some point, find a way to make them interesting. Find a way to make yourself curious about what is like about the subject or whatever it is, and go and do a research, because usually when we do research, we inspire and ignite more curiosity and thus more interest. And I think that's a crucial point. If we want to change our lifestyle regards to food or something like that, like, you know, I want to eat more healthy or something like that, I want to exercise more, I want to be fitter, whatever, you know, those old things that is very common to refer to, then it's a very good idea to start researching about it. Research about nutritious food, research about exercise. Do your research. We have all the information by our hand. That's the thing. And I'm not here to tell you anything that you don't know. The thing is that common knowledge isn't common practice. That's the fact. And also I'm here basically to connect you with why you're doing your goals and inspire you. All the informations are there. You know, we can all go by ourselves and you know, research and find all the information. It's just a matter of how do I implement them? How do I create those systems for my goals? So these are a few things to think about in regards to the goals. I'm going to move on to the next one. So when we have, oh, there's another typo. When we have our goals and we're just like, okay, I find it interesting, it serves me at this point. Also, what's really important before I go into this is to think about, is this goal something that is serving me now? Is it something that I am, you know, going for the right time in my life? And this is something that could be a bit hard to sort of figure out, because it's also very easy to just, oh, this is not the right time in my life, I'm not going to do this. But the thing is that sometimes we are so pressured by society or somebody around us or our friends or family, or just this pressure of social media, obviously. And we feel like, yeah, I feel like I should be running a marathon this year. You know, I've, you know, done a half marathon. I, you know, on this running journey, I should be doing a marathon this year. I mean, you know, it's like the normal sort of process, right? But I mean, maybe this is the year when you're moving between countries and you're having a baby, or you're getting a divorce and you're moving houses, or you got bankrupt, or you're a single parent with one single half income or something. And it's like, you know, is this something that I should be having as a goal right now? Like, okay, running a marathon is one, you know, for somebody, this could absolutely be a goal in a difficult situation. But, you know, this is something, is it something that's like super new to us, that would require us to implement a lot of new habits, take a lot of our time? And is it that important to do that right now? Or is there something else that we should be focusing on right now? Should we maybe be focusing on just getting our finances stable? You know, should that be our mission before we go, you know, 7 steps further? And this is something that I think we do a lot of times. We're just like, yeah, it's a New Year's, I'm gonna, you know, make $7 trillion or something in this year. And it's just like, yeah, but you know, there's something else going on that is absolutely not working. My health is horrid, you know. I can't go for a walk for 1 kilometer and then I'm done, you know. That's maybe something that you should be working on first, or getting your finances stable or something like that before heading on to bigger goals. I'm not saying we should have those goals for sure. They should be there. We could put them on our sort of calendar, just like, yeah, in 3 years, I want to be here. And then creating a relevant sort of attainable plan towards them. Okay, but breaking our goals down. What we have to do here is basically take the time, our deadline. So if I have a goal I want to, let's use run a marathon in August. How many hours per week can I spend training? Or how many hours do I need per week? So if I want to run the marathon in August, I have, okay, let's say 8 months. And then I have to go online if I don't know and sort of research like how much per week do I have to train for 8 months to be able to run a marathon in end of August. Find that out. I don't know how much it is. Let's say that it's 6 hours per week. And then it's like, okay, it's 6 hours per week. How am I gonna divide that into my week? How am I gonna fit that into my week? And is it attainable? Is it like, does it work for me? Can I fit those hours in my week? And preferably would go and plan, like we could make an example of our perfect week this year. Like, you know, if we have a week in, let's say in February, oh, so my week looks like that. I wake up at 6 o'clock, I do some meditation, I get water, drink water, have some coffee, get breakfast, do some exercise, go to work, get my children to school, go to work, etc. Just plan your day down and sort of structure it down, and you know, find out where you can fit in those hours and where you have to sacrifice instead. And of course, I recommend, you know, here that we try to maintain sort of that we can still have hours with our children, in work, for ourselves, etc. Can you still fit it in? So this is something to calculate and find out if we're able to fit this goal into our schedule and how we're going to do it. Maybe we have to adjust. Maybe it's like, okay, I cannot fit 6 hours a week for this goal. I have to put the deadline further. I have to put it to the new year or 2 years or something, and then spend a bit fewer hours per week towards it, or run a half marathon, or, you know, like something a bit more in between in the time. So this is something that, I mean, this is basic calculation. It's just sitting down and calculating, like, okay, and you can Google it all. You can Google, okay, how much time a week or a month do I have to spend to get this goal in this much time? You can find it all online, I think, most of it. If not, there's somebody you can find that knows it. Yeah, create systems. When we have put down our plan, and let's say I'm gonna run for 1 hour 3 times a week and 2 hours, no, let me see. Okay, 2 hours 2 times a week and 1 hour 2 times a week. So 4 times a week I'm gonna run for this, train for a marathon. And I'm gonna fit them in my diary. I'm gonna wake up at 6 o'clock 2 mornings. They're gonna do one of the runs in the afternoon, and then the 2 hour run I will do in the weekend. And I'm just gonna put this in my diary or my planner. I'm gonna test out if this works, or, you know, how this works for me, what's not working, and, you know, then readjust to according to that. So basically repeating until we can create a system. And when we have the system, then we're solid. Then we have it already. We have it in our system. We have it in our daily routine, and it's implemented. So that's the process. And trial and error is essential for that. So that's one way to sort of figure out how we break them down and put them in our schedule. One thing, yeah, I think I'll get into it on the next slide. See, no questions. All right. Can you guys still hear me? Okay, I just trust that you let me know if you don't hear me. Thanks. Okay, let's move into the self. I will get you to do a little exercise later on some things in the workbook, but I really want to see. great, Heiðis Tveinaskil. I'm so happy to hear that. That's like an achievement for me. It's like, woohoo, something's working, something technical is working. Okay, self. Why self? Sjálfið okkar, sjálfsmyndin. So the self, and this is something I was actually listening to a podcast on the way from Baradalur earlier today, or like 2 hours ago, where they were talking about, and this is something that I'm very, very interested in, and I think it's so, what do you say, like, it's just so inspiring and different, and I think many of us don't realize this, but it's very, it talks to our ego a lot to sort of set down goals and reach our goals and, you know, work towards the goals and everything, and, you know, change, you know, do all these things that we didn't do so that we reach our goals. And it's just like, it's very sort of mind focused, ego focused, and we all have, as we know, we all have our ego going on, and we need our ego. Our ego is super important, but we sometimes forget that we really have to sort of look inward, and we have to find our answers within ourselves, in our heart, like I say. And I talk about this heart-mind connection. Our heart and mind have to be connected. I talked about this in the Facebook Live I did on the 30th of December as well. That, and when I talk about the heart, we could also refer to like the gut instinct that we have, our intuition. And this is something that we sometimes fail to listen to take a mark out. We don't listen to this, and very often we just don't give it a chance to talk to us and to listen to it. So this is something that is so important to take with us when we are putting down and, you know, setting goals, working towards new goals, changing something in our life so that we feel better, our lives are better, or increase the quality of our life. So to listen to ourselves, our hearts, is super important in this. And I will go further into that. But yeah, I wanted to just get that out, because yeah, okay, the reason why I started talking about this is, in order to reach a goal that we haven't attained yet, we have to change. Yes, we have to change. This is a hard one it's a tough one for many people, because we just don't want to change. Why would we have to change? We're really just really nice and cool like we are. And I mean, I think we are usually. But the thing is that we would have attained this goal already if we were the person that was able to attain that goal at some point. So if we haven't attained it, there's something within us that we have to discover, or that we have to change, so that we can create the right habits to attain this goal. And this is something that I'm putting out there, and I'm stating this as a fact. And you can go and you can, you know, discuss this and then be ósammála, not agree with it or whatever, but this is something I'm just gonna put out there, and you will have to implement it if you want to reach the goals that you haven't been able to reach at this point, at least. But what does it mean to change ourselves? It doesn't mean that we have to be completely another person. It just means that we have to dig deep into why we want to achieve these goals. Why do we want to achieve it? And thus find out, you know, if it's something that it's so important that it changes our lives and we have to do it, then we have to find a way to be the person that can attain and finish and reach this goal. And who we are is really more important than what we do. It is really important what we do. It surely is. And we're never going to get anywhere if we just sit and meditate somewhere in the corner our whole lives, but finding out who we are, who we want to be, and changing that state gradually every day towards the person that we want to genuinely be or who we genuinely are, we have to take those steps of sort of changing who we are. And that's when things will start changing. That's when we will start transforming and be able to reach the goals that we set ourselves. So why? Our why is the most important things. And if you have a big goal, if you have a goal that is of a scope, that something that you think is, it's going to be a challenge, you should be able to write at least 20 whys. Yep, at least 20 whys. And 10 of those whys could preferably be about something that is outside of yourself. What does that mean? It means that half of those whys should preferably be something that benefits somebody else than just ourselves. It's important that it benefits ourselves. It surely is. It's super important. But the stronger the goal will be, or this dream, if it's a dream or a goal that will simultaneously benefit, could be our family, it could be our friends, it could be our community, it could be our country, it could be the world, just depending on what kind of goal it is and what works for you and what your dreams are like, where you're heading, basically. I mean, some of us are not here to change the world and we just don't want to, and that's fine. But so let's figure out if that drives you, if you know that, okay, doing this is going to benefit myself, but it's also going to benefit somebody else that I care about, or something that I want to change genuinely in my heart, that is going to be a super duper driving force towards your goal. And I'm not going to even try to explain how great of a benefit it is for your why, or for your driving force to stick to the goal. So if you can find 20 things, and 10 of those being somebody benefiting on your reaching your goal outside of yourself, that's gonna take you a long way. Okay, I will ask you to do this in a minute, to write your whys. We're also, okay, no, actually, we're going to take 2 minutes now to write our whys. So I will let you know when I'm ready with my timer. I'm ready with my timer. Okay, so if you have the workbook printed out, you can go on page something, 6 or something. Your 20 whys are there. Write your 20 whys, or at least start writing some of them. Pick a goal that you are working on or want to work on or something, and write your 20 whys. Why am I doing it? And what's going to change if I achieve this goal? So, okay, 2 minutes, guys. I will come back in 2 minutes. Go. Okay, guys, I'm gonna stop you there. You can of course proceed with this afterwards, but it's good to start sort of getting this ball rolling. Very good to get something down on paper already. The next thing, and we're gonna proceed with writing down things. That's our 20 disappointments. Yeah, that's actually that's like it's a tough one. It's a bit of, yeah, we have to go a bit to our bad place, but that's, you know, that's also something that I find really important, is that, you know, we also have to do the difficult sort of work and figure out and experience the pain that will come from not achieving all goals or dreams. So the 20 disappointment exercise is like that. We think about, if we think 12 months ahead, we're gonna go to 3rd of January in 2023. That sounds like, oh my God, 2023, wow. And you're there, and you didn't reach your goal. You didn't reach a goal that you had, that was set within this year. Whether it was, you know, 3 months goal, half year goal, whatever, it was just a goal that you set for 1 year and you didn't reach it. So what you're gonna do now is you're gonna think, okay, what are the feelings that I feel regarding not having reached that goal? And try to find at least 20 things that are painful or that make you feel disappointed about not having reached the goal. So like, okay, I didn't run the marathon that I was gonna run or something, and I feel like I feel like I am not consistent enough. I feel like procrastination got the best of me. I am feeling let down by myself, and I'm feeling sad that my children are not gonna, you know, see what I'm capable of doing and inspire them or whatever. So I'm gonna put the timer on again and give you 2 minutes again to write down at least up to 20 disappointment, painful feelings, painful thoughts that come across your mind when you think about going 1 year ahead, not having reached your goal. Time starts now. Okay, guys, 2 minutes are up. Like I said, you can also finish this later if you haven't. Third exercise, and the reason why I'm making you do this is because it is super important. And this is something that we would probably always delay or try to find another time to do because it's not that much fun to go to the future and sort of go through the feelings and everything of not having achieved our great goals that we're gonna achieve in 2022. So the third exercise, it's very similar to the last one. Then we're gonna go again forward to 3rd of January 2023 and look into our crystal ball. We're gonna look into the crystal ball and just like, so what, or actually I'm meaning that we're looking into it now, looking into the crystal ball. We're not gonna do it then, doesn't make sense. So we're looking into the crystal ball now, and we are seeing everything that happens this year and why we failed, why we did not reach the goal. So here are the whys, basically. And the thing is that we all know what our fallouts are, where our cutlass, it's not coming, faults. My words are lost at the moment. All the things that we know we could fail at. Yeah, I've got something here, got something here. Flaws, thank you, flaws. Yeah, we know our flaws and we know where we usually fail, where we usually would sort of get back to our old habits or drop it. And we usually also know why it happens. So now we're gonna go look into our crystal ball and we're gonna see. So the reason why I'm not reaching this milestone of my goal is because I did not follow through on waking up when I said I was gonna wake up, or because I will be snoozing. That's usually what I do. I snooze a lot. I find it too much of a hustle to just dress up in my running clothes. They're tight and it's a lot of work to just dress in the clothes. Seriously, that's definitely a thing with this for me, actually. Something like, what are those little things that we know we do and they are sabotaging our goals. So let's take 2 minutes again. I promise, we will take a break, just a short break after this. Let's write this down. Find out, what could I fail at? Where am I gonna fail? Let's face those and plan according and around those flaws or drawbacks or fallouts that we know could happen or know will happen if we don't make some precautions. So 2 minutes start now. All right, guys, 2 minutes are up. I hope you got something. Okay, Ásrún, ekkert mál. Þú verður hægt að hafa upptöku af þessu vonandi líka. We're gonna just take 5, let's say 5 minutes. Let's take 5 minutes because we have quite a lot of work to do. So let's take 5 minutes, go grab a coffee, to toilet, water, whatever you need to do. Just stand up, shake yourself. See you in exactly 5 minutes. So exactly 5:05. All right, I'm gonna turn off the live. See you later in the 5 minutes. Okay. Yeah. Okay, 5 minutes. All right, I am back. Got something to eat, a little more coffee, or actually I just put it in the microwave because it was just cold. So let's proceed. At this point, we should have a pretty clear idea about our goals, some of our whys, some of our crystal ball, very uncomfortable facts about what we know could happen so that we wouldn't reach our goal. That's very good. It's planning to fail, if you could put that in that kind of phrase, or if we know how we're gonna fail, we can actually avoid it. We can prevent it, which is something that is very handy. And we will go through that. Our whys are very important. Also, who I am, like I already mentioned in part 1. Who am I and who do I have to be to achieve this goal or reach this dream of mine? There are many ways to work on this, and this is in its core mostly mindset work. It often also fuses with spirituality. Many methods, spiritual methods, are very helpful when it comes to sort of finding out who we want to be or who we need to be to achieve our goals, achieve our dreams. Usually we have to go look inside to figure that out, and sometimes we just don't do that because it's uncomfortable. And I think that's very often the reason, because we know that inside ourselves and within our heart, we will find things that will tell us something that we just don't want to hear. Which is why so many of us are not living authentically or like following like fully on our true selves or who we want to be and what we want to achieve. But I encourage you to do that. And I'm not saying that I am graduated in that as well. I am for sure not, but definitely on a road to something that I feel is working for me. And one way to change or reprogram ourselves to be the people or the person that we need to be to achieve our goals is using affirmations like, I am abundant, I, have, I'm valuable, I stand behind my decisions, something like that. So many things. It really depends on who you are and what you're trying to achieve. I actually wrote a blog post right in the new year about mantras and how they can serve us, and that's on my website. It's 6, just like a checklist, 6 things a mantra has to have to work for you specifically, and this is something that's actually relevant to this. One thing I have used is picking 3 words that describe myself when I'm in my best state, or words that somebody that I love or some people that know me would use, that I would want, like words that I would want the ones closest to me to use about me. Pick those words wisely, put them somewhere where I see them every day. Reminders, have visual reminders, like I want to be unapologetic, I want to be prolific, I want to be more humble, I want to be a better person, something more specific than that maybe. I am consistent, things like that, just write them on a post-it note or something and put them on your bathroom mirror, or write them on your bathroom mirror like I have done with whiteboard pen. That's interesting. I recommend trying it. It's very interesting. Also, when people come for a visit, they think, yeah, I'm not gonna tell you what they think I am when they see that. Just kidding. But I recommend it. It's fun. It's fun having a whiteboard pen and just write things on your mirror, and you see them every time you go to the bathroom. It's like, yeah, okay, I'm abundant. Oh, well, maybe I am. And in that context, I always recommend reading the book The High Five Habit by Mel Robbins. She is fantastic. I love her. I connect so much with her and her sort of methods of teaching and of living. This is something that she goes into a lot, and I recommend if you're like on this sort of, especially if you're like, yeah, I really want to reprogram my mind and I really want to reprogram these old patterns, thought patterns that take me to places that I just don't want to be, that I remind me of something in the past that brings me down or something. You know, I really want to rewire myself. I really recommend reading this book, The High Five Habit by Mel Robbins. So yeah, who we are, and yeah, here the reminders and our environment are very important. We have to have visual reminders of who we want to be. We can also use pictures. We can use, you know, anything actually. There's something that reminds us of who we want to be. And that's the same as when it comes to affirmations or mantras, if they have them visible. And yeah, behavioral activation therapy, this is basically one of those things that that's basically writing mantras down and repeating them all over again. It's, you know, in time, we rewire ourselves by doing that. It's crazy, but it works. That's the thing. It really does work. It's almost like if we're in a forest. We're in a forest and we want to get somewhere, you know, it's just we walk this forest every day. And we start creating paths. When we first go through the forest, we have to sort of, you know, cut down the branches and, you know, get through it. And by time, it gets really easy because we create paths, and it's so easy just to follow the paths, follow the paths, follow the paths. And those are like our neural paths in our brains. See you later. And to create new ones, we have to put some extra energy in. Yeah, we have to sort of just repeat those things until they stick again and again, and go through that path all over again to create a new path and let the other one slow down. Maybe it comes back and, you know, try to, you know, let it slow down or disappear if it's something that doesn't serve us, that is, you know. Okay, I want to move on. Oops. So habits, there we go. The most important thing here, to change something in our lives, to reach goals that we haven't reached, something has to change. We have to change at some level. We have to change some thought patterns. Usually we also have to change some habits. Actually, not usually, we will have to change a habit if we want to reach a goal that we haven't reached or isn't attainable at the moment. And what I use in this, like the information on this slide, I take from a very interesting book called Atomic Habits by James Clear. And it's brilliant. I'm not taking everything that he's sort of referring to. I'm just taking like what I think is really valuable and important. And that is, the first thing is, okay, I was going to say something first. Yeah, I was going to say success is the product of daily habits. It's not the rapid change that we do like overnight. It's just a gradual change in our habits over time. Dun, dun, dun. Like this, it's very subtle. It's a subtle thing. But our sort of wiring and our society really often sort of makes us just like go, yeah, I'm just gonna do this 100% tomorrow, which is just not attainable. That's the thing. It's not. In 99% of cases, it's not the right way to do an overnight change. There are exemptions. Is that a word? Exemptions. You know what I mean? Undantekningar. This word is not coming. I know somebody will probably. Okay, if somebody has it, you can write to me. Wow, it's so funny when your brain goes blank. But basically, what this all revolves around is exceptions. Yes, there are exceptions, but 99% of the time, it's the small, gradual steps in habit change that count towards a success. Thank you, Halla. Habit loop. What is a habit loop? This is something that's super, super, super interesting. And James Clear goes into this in detail. But basically, we have thousands of habit loops going on every day. And it's something that we have just wired ourselves to do. And it's divided into cues, cravings, responses, and rewards. So to take an example is our phone beeps. It beeps like, you know, and our craving, so that's our cue. That's our cue. The phone's beeping. Our craving is to go and check who messaged us or what is going on in our phone. There's responses that we take our phone and open it and check on it. And the reward is basically that now we know who messaged us. So about those cues and cravings and responses and rewards, in order to create a habit that sticks with us and is likely to stick with us, those things have to be, so cues have to be obvious, cravings attractive, responses have to be easy, and rewards have to be satisfying. I will go in detail in this, but basically a cue is something like, if I'm gonna exercise every day, I will put my dumbbells and things in the living room. You know, if it's something that you want to do at home, for instance. Have it visible, have it somewhere it's easy to access, somewhere where it's just, yeah, it's there, it reminds me, or, you know, having pictures up of that remind you of the habit that you want to do every day or every week or whatever, just something that gives you the cue of basically starting, you know, getting into the habit, doing the habit. Reminds us of it. That this comes also into like for me, I like having my apartment tidy and clean and not with much stuff, but I have come to realize and accept that when I'm working on something that is important to me, it helps me a lot to have the things that I'm using at the time very close at hand, and sometimes that means that they are spread around my apartment. I try to have it very neat and everything, and I think I do that most of the time, but I'm just saying that sometimes I have to sacrifice having everything super, super neat and clean and with nothing to do that. I think some of us actually deal with that as well. Craving. So something that makes us crave doing this habit, especially if it's something that is hard for us or we don't really feel like doing all the time, you know, what can make us crave doing it? And, you know, it has to be attractive. It has to be something we have to make a habit that we want to do attractive. It's the other way around with something that we don't do. And that is, for instance, we can bundle them with another habit. That's like, you know, when I go for a run, I'm listening to my favorite podcast. Or when I read or write, I allow myself to have a great big cup of latte or something. I don't know, something that gives me life. It's a bit like, you know, okay, I have to do this, but I get to do this. Also, yeah, I actually said it. I get to. instead of thinking, oh, I have to do this, I have to do it now, you know, to change our mindset and rephrase things and say, I get to do this because I get to be stronger and more fit if it's something regards to exercise. I get to publish a book. I get to spend time writing if I want to publish a book, for instance, something like that. Try to change our mindset towards these tasks that we have to do to get there, and say, I get to do this. I'm lucky. I get to do it. Response. So that's when we actually do the thing. That is, and it has to be easy. And this is something that I think some people are like, what? Easy? Because usually when we change our habits and have to change ourselves, it's not easy. It's usually hard. So the key here is to start easy. To start easy. So that means if we have a goal for the whole year, then we break it down, and then we maybe have to create space in January, for instance, for the first 4 weeks, where we gradually ease into the goal. And yeah, some people will not agree with that. Some people will be like, no, no, you shouldn't ease into it. You should just, go for it and just go full force and all that. But I can promise you that if you have a plan and if you follow through on the plan of increasing, step by step until you reach your desired time length of how long you want to work each day on this or week or whatever metric you're using, I promise you that you will reach your goal. But it's crucial to start easy. So if you want to start running, you haven't been running before, the first thing that you put down as a goal for the first week maybe is only getting into your running clothes, getting close and getting into them, maybe doing some stretches, and that's it. You reached your goal for the day. But the thing is here, of course, you have to gradually increase. You have to put it down in the diary. You have to have a plan of increasing in the next week or after 2 days. It could be just to go out in your exercise clothes and take a walk around the neighborhood and go back. That's it. Like I said, you have to have it all structured up in order for this to work. But this works. And the thing is that when we are already in the zone, we have gotten us there. We have gotten in our exercise clothes, in our running clothes. It's a big step for many people, I'll tell you. And start maybe stretching, maybe start feeling like, I kind of feel like going out. I'm just gonna do that. And because it's funny that sometimes our motivation starts after we sort of start doing the new habit. But if we make it easy to begin with, we are much more likely to stick to it. So there's one rule that could be used here, and it's called the 2-minute rule. You do something just for 2 minutes for the first days or week that you're implementing the habit. Then of course gradually increasing towards what you want to be, how much you want to be working each day or each week. But this is super, super, super important. Basically just showing up. And sometimes it also, of course, it happens also during, when we're sort of far ahead and working hard. And sometimes we're just not up for doing what we have to do, like showing up on, training or something. But only showing up is always going to count rather than not showing up. So even though we only show up to run one round and that's it, if we want to do 10, at least we did that. And it counts. It does. It counts. I promise. To create less friction is also a part of this, to sort of make it as easy as we can. And this is something that I use, for instance, because like these days I'm training myself to exercise early in the morning, and I didn't consider myself to be a morning person, but then I'm learning gradually that I can actually be more in person. I can train myself to do it. And now I'm sort of going out for runs like once a week, early morning. A year ago, that would have been impossible for me to go on a run like in the winter, 6 o'clock in the morning. So to make it easier, I take all my clothes that I have to wear during the run, and I put them like somewhere that I can't pass them when I wake up. So I just almost run into them. So it's so easy just to put them on. This is very important to sort of prepare. And this is one of the things to do to prepare for failure. Like, I know that when I wake up, I'm going to be frustrated that I have to sort of go and get all the clothes and all the equipment together that I want to use. And it's going to be just like, I don't want to do it. I'm just going to go back to bed. So yeah, that's one thing, to basically create less friction. Create those little paths that make it easier for you to do this habit. We want to succeed, so this is something we want to do. Also, yeah, only if we're only 1% better each day. Somebody calculated this. They say that we will be 38 times better in 1 year. I think that's pretty good if that's true. 1% each day. Okay, I buy that. Yeah, and the reward, basically the reward is something that will make us do it again, to repeat the habit. And that has to be satisfying. The reward for doing the habit has to be satisfying. For instance, we could have an accountability partner, somebody who we send a photo to when we have finished our exercise, or finished reading the book, reading or finished writing for 30 minutes, whatever. Just something, somebody who holds us accountable, and that we feel sort of accomplished when we send them, like, yeah, finish this, burn this many calories during this workout, or whatever works for you and makes you satisfied with your workout and want to do it again. You're like, next time you have to do it, and you're like, oh, and you just think about, oh yeah, but it's so satisfying when I finish. Sometimes that just works. Also, yeah, it also works to have a habit tracker for some people. And that's actually in the workbook. I put one kind of habit tracker, but you can find them everywhere on the internet. Basically checking off, like, check off today. Woohoo, check off. That's actually a guy. But okay. Checking something off. For some people, that's just like a super, super satisfying thing. Just like, the people that like to check things off. So if that works for you, do that. I wanted to go, okay, no, okay, yeah. 3 layers of behavioral change. Let's look quickly into that. So there are 3 layers of changing behaviors. First, it's outcome. Oh, this one's in Icelandic. Okay. Well, okay, it's an Icelandic. I did it also in English, but I must have exported the Icelandic version. Funny. Wait here. Okay. So basically, we have the outcome, utkoma. And then we have the process. Number 2 is the process towards the outcome. And then number 3, it's our self, it's our identity, our self-smynd. And the outcome could be to publish a book, to lose 20 kilograms, to finish that degrees, to renovate the bathroom, to run a marathon, whatever. It's the outcome. And basically, what we want to do is we rather want to focus on the systems and the processes rather than necessarily the outcomes. The goal that we put out, the goal is more like an instrument or a tool that we use to change our identity and create processes that serve us. So, because if you only have those goals and just like, yeah, I'm striving for this goal, and then we reach the goal, it's just like, oh, I reached the goal. Like, So we should be focusing more on the processes and our own identity. That's the most important thing. And the systems we create around this. That's super important. So like processes could be to run 3 times a week, to write 30 minutes a day, to healthy 90% of the time. Just right. To work with a coach one times a week, or wake up 30 minutes earlier, something like that. And when it comes to ourselves, our self, like our identity, it's basically, I'm a runner, I'm consistent, I'm fit, I'm healthy, I am a morning person, and I focus on one thing at a time. These things, who we are the key to, the processes, the habit change, and then eventually the outcome, or reaching the goal. Those are the most important things. That's the thing. Going back here, yeah, let's see. Yeah, there's a specific, like when implementing things to create habits, it's very important to be specific, like with time and place. Like, I want to, okay, let's use the workout thing one more time because it's so tangible and close to us. Place and time, like when am I gonna do it and where am I gonna do it? Like this has to be clear. Of course, things are not always gonna, go as planned. That things change. But if we have this 90% of the time, it's just like, I'm gonna work out there at this time. And then we don't have to think. We just know we're gonna go there at this time and we're gonna do it. We don't have to think, oh, where am I going and what am I gonna do? When, at what time? Instead, just having it clear, putting it down, and then we just have to show up and do the freaking thing. The same with creating systems and our environment. Having the, creating the environment that fits and suits the goal, like our apartment or whatever we're, like our workplace or somewhere that is relevant in this case. Very quickly, the value of disappointment. I have tapped into this before. This one is interesting. It's also from the Atomic Habit book. So basically, especially when we implement the habit changing system, like James Clear is working with, and that I was introducing with those 4, sort of the habit loop, especially when we start slowly, which is like really what we would recommend, we maybe would not see the expected result immediately. And that really takes us down sometimes, because we feel like we're putting a lot of work in and taking the time, and we, written a lot of things down, and doing a lot of things, but not seeing the result. So it's very good to be aware of the value of disappointment, because expectation is that we have a linear sort of result or success in accordance to our work that we put in, or the time that we put in. But in reality, it creates this valley. So there's like a little valley first, and then it goes slowly upwards, and then sort of, as we progress, because our plan is so great and our system is so good, so that we're always, building up on everything that we did before. So, process is gonna, skyrocket at some point, probably, hopefully. Yeah, patience. That's the key. Okay, so I think we can leave this. What I want you guys to do now is that basically we did not write the goals down yet. In the workbook, I'm gonna go find the workbook for a second. In the workbook, we have a section in the beginning. So we already did the jealousy log, which is good. And then we have here the goals. So we can write down goal 1, whatever, it could be one sentence or one word, but it can also be just like, I want to do this by this time, la 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 la. So I'm gonna give you now. I know that you probably you have done it already, but I wanted to take 2 minutes now and just, if it's 4 goals, like, I mean, there's space for 4 goals there, write 4 goals. If it's only 1 goal, just take 1 goal and write a bit more specific about it. So, guys, 2 minutes, write down your goals. See you in 2 minutes. All right, guys, 2 minutes up. Thank you. So we should have pretty clear now what our goals are. Maybe we did already. So yeah, like I was talking about earlier, goals are basically tools to change our lifestyle, or they can be. Let's go back to the slides. Yeah, goals are good for setting a direction, but systems are best for making progress. Yeah, the system always beat the goals. It's the goal itself. And then we talk about the habit systems. Yeah, that was what we did, like outcome, processes, identity. Yeah, let's move on to accountability systems. Okay, go down here. Accountability systems. What is that? Accountability system is basically a system that keeps us working and moving and working consistently towards a goal or the dream or according to the plan that we put down for ourselves. And there are lots of different kinds of accountability systems, and I think it's very important to go through them, find out what works for you. Trial and error is important here as well, to sort of figure out what is the best system for you. First of all, it's self-accountability. And for instance here, I mean, there are so many ways that you can find or create to make yourself accountable for your progress or for your habits or for anything. But having a reward system is one way, and that could be, like I mentioned earlier, just when we are doing what we have to do,
this new habit or whatever it is, we do something simultaneously that is enjoyable. Or at the end of it, we are allowed to do something like, not checking our phones while we're doing something, and, then allowing ourselves to check our phones when we finish it. That's one very small example. Celebrating milestones, when I reach, certain, I know it's okay. This is just the first thing that pops in my head because it's so tangible. It's when I reach, 5 kilograms, losing 5 kilograms, or adding on 5 kilograms, then I'm gonna celebrate by going to Tenerife. I don't know, something like that. It doesn't have to be that big. But yeah, just create something that makes you accountable, like keep yourself accountable for your process. And one way for that is celebrating. Tracking is also one way. We mentioned that earlier, like habit tracking, checking off, having like something visual, maybe on your wall, a calendar, something that you just check off, did it, I've checked this off today. And sometimes that's enough for people. Some people are like that. They just love checking off things. It's pretty amazing. One other thing that we can do is use friends and family. And I put in, on the slides, I put in punishment and payment, which it doesn't sound very good. But for some people, it could work, I'm not kidding, to have maybe a friend or family member, keeping them accountable for showing up, like say in the gym, and having a deal that sounds like I have to send you 4 photos per week exercising in the gym, or like a screenshot of my Strava or something. Trying to plug in this phone here. Ooh, this is not good. So yeah, that's one kind of accountability system. And some people would even go so far as sorry, some people would even go so far as sort of having something that you would have to pay if you don't stick to it. If you do not send me 4 pictures a week, you have to pay me 10,000 kronos or something like that, $100. For some people this works, and some people like this, some people don't. So this one way. Also, what's really important here when it comes to friends and family, and this one's an important one, and this is something that's also something that we sometimes just overlook and are not very eager to look within ourselves to find out. But that's but that's basically our friends and family and how they support us and what kind of energy they give us. And this is something that is super, super, super important to think about. What is my family? How is my family supporting this journey of mine? Are they supportive? Are they giving me the right energy? And a mantra that I've very recently come down to is, and this sounds harsh as well, and some people will probably be, oh my goodness, how can you say that? But I'm going to say it. It's say yes to you and no to others. I know, super, super harsh. But the thing is that if we say yes to ourselves, if we give ourselves permission to follow our dreams, if we give ourselves permission to be a better person, improve our lives, we will be able to say yes to others as well, or at least at a degree that is important to us. So if we can say yes to ourselves, we can say yes to others as well. But if it's a no for us and yes for others, that's not going to work out. So if we have a goal, if we're trying to create habits, and we're in the state of somebody's asking us of a favor, or we have to be somewhere, or do something that is gonna be in a conflict with our progress or our new habit or something that we put down, that's something that we really, if we have gone through our whys, why we're doing it, why is important. If we've gone in our, looked into a crystal ball and seen all the things that, were our fallbacks, and we've seen and felt the disappointment and the pain of not reaching our goals, then we will have the courage to know where to say no and where to say yes. And if we want to put ourselves, because we have to put ourselves first to do this, and remember that we're also doing it for the people around us. If we did our whys right, then we have to know when to say no. Because if it's not a no for us, if it's not a yes for us, it's a no for others. Okay, yeah. Take it, digest it, do whatever you want with it, but this is something that I am gonna put out there for you to think about. Okay, and I know it's a tough one, because we are really codependent. That's just a fact. We really like pleasing others. We like having others like us. That's just one human thing. But sometimes we just have to like ourselves a bit more. That's the thing. So yeah, start liking ourselves. Train our minds to love ourselves. Self-compassion. I have one of my goals right now. Or actually, yeah, I put it on the paper that I'm gonna burn, of the things that I'm gonna leave in 2021. Was that I'm gonna stop having a samviskubit, guilt over food, over indulging in good food, and having a toxic relationship with food, because I've always had a toxic relationship with food, and I hate it. It's really distracting. And I know, and I have felt that the only way for me to create a healthy relationship with food, so that I can enjoy it when I want to, and I'm not filled with guilt, and that I can also respect my body in the way that I'm not indulging on it when it's not good for me. I just, that's something that I have to sort of figure out by time and trial and error and everything. But this is something that I can only achieve with self-love and self-compassion. It's the only way. And some things we will not be able to change or achieve without rewiring our brain so that we truly love ourselves, because we very often don't. We don't love ourselves. We think we do, because sometimes we think we're selfish. Oh yeah, I'm so selfish, I do this. But we don't love ourselves. We don't show ourselves compassion. We don't, we react to ourselves or our mistake in a way that, we're punishing ourselves, or, talking down to ourselves, instead of just, hey, this is okay. Like we're talking to a child, because most of our traumas and most of our wiring comes from childhood. That's just fact. A lot of it comes from childhood, and we should be talking to ourselves or the other self with compassion and love. And that's the only way that we can sort of start respecting ourselves, so that we treat ourselves the right way, that we, like for me, that I treat food in a healthy manner, rather than treating it like an enemy, or like this thing that's always sort of giving me a hard time. Yeah, I just wanted to throw that in there. Okay, but this comes into also like the energy that's around us. So that's something. And I'm not saying like, oh yeah, you have to leave your family, or you have to totally change your environment. But this is just something to think about, to sort of, yeah, how can I maybe spend a little more time with the people that take all my energy or are toxic, whatever. Okay, and then we have the outside accountability system. And that could be, for instance, a community that shares our goals or values or something like that. And that's super, super, super powerful. And it can be an online community. I mean, today in this year and circumstances that we're in, I think that's very valuable, and we can find online communities for most things. And connected to that, they say that we are the average of the 5 people that we hang around the most. So if we hang around a lot of people that are some kind of people, I don't want to take an example actually, but it's very likely that we will be the 6th person, that kind of person, basically. So this is something to really think about. Who do we surround ourselves with? And I'm not saying, again, you don't have to. I'm not necessarily saying that we have to leave our family or something like that. It's more like just, how can I spend more time with some that are giving me energy, and maybe that will also inspire me to have more energy to work with more difficult people in my life and stuff like that. It works like that. When we feel inspired and energized, we also have more energy to tackle the difficult things and all the shit that we have to go through, all of us. And also, you can hire a coach. And what a coach will do is basically approach you in a more personal manner and will work with you towards finding the right steps for you, holding you accountable, reassessing things with you, etc., etc., etc. So it's like, if you hire a fitness coach, they will make the program for you. They will make you send them what you're eating or whatever. It's accountability. Somebody who's accountable, and you have an accountability partner. So, next thing. Yeah, let's just move to the next. What time is it? Okay, I think we should just try to finish this without a break. Yeah. Okay, if you don't agree with that, let me know. But we'll be finished earlier than 7 for sure. Let's just go through this. Let's be very harsh, and you just take toilet breaks if you need to, when you need to, and coffee and everything. So number 6, regular reassessment. What does that mean? Basically, when you put everything down, you did the work, you did the whys, you did the crystal ball method, you put everything down, you broke it down to milestones, to steps, you calculated how much time a week you have to do, put it in your planner, you've done all the work, and you already did the trial and error, so you created a system. Now it's just a matter of reassessment. So I recommend, and I think most people that are interested in goal setting and mindset and everything recommend, is to do reassessments at least monthly. I mean, yearly for sure. I mean, I think it's doing reassessments, going over the year, taking with us what we want to take with us to the next year, throwing the other things away, etc. I think that's super, super important. But when we've done that, we have to do some more work during the year than only waiting until next year. Because if we don't do that, it's we could succeed. I'm not saying that, but reassessment it's one type of accountability system. Actually, it's because it's like, next month I'm gonna reassess my process, and I really want to make that a good experience. So yeah, that's actually one type of accountability system. But basically, monthly renewal would mean going over the month, reading our goals, reading the goals. It's very good to go back to the yearly goals, like reading them, like, how am I going, how is it going with the process of reaching the yearly goal? Is it going according to plan? If not, then there has to be some reassessment, a readjustment, basically. Go over the tracking. If you've been tracking, if you've been journaling, if you've been doing habit tracking, something like that, go over it. What did what worked, what didn't work, where did I fail, why? And from that, decide, what do I have to stop doing next month? What do I have to start doing? And what can I proceed doing? What's working well? And then repeat that every month. And this will probably mean, and very often this changes sometimes it changes the yearly goal. Because by time you realize maybe the goal that you set wasn't attainable in the manner that you expected. Maybe you could raise the goal. You figure like, okay, wow, I mean, I'm doing more progress than I thought. I mean, I can do more than I actually expected, so I can actually raise my goal, which is super, super cool. It's not always like it can also be really exciting to do this reassessment, because it is more often than you think that people actually realize like, okay, I can actually have more progress than I thought. So this is something to really think about. And I mean, maybe you don't want to raise your goal. That's not what I'm saying. But at least knowing that you're on the right track, or not, if you're not on the right track, like, okay, what do I have to change? What can I do better? Like, what do I have to drop? And just make a new plan for the next month or for the next quarter. It's also very good to take quarterly, like 90 days, because 90 days are a very good time frame to work with bigger goals as well. You can really, in 90 days, you can really usually see progress at some point, or at least enough to do a very good evaluation. But monthly, then the weekly reassessment should be sitting down, going over your planner or your week, your journal, your calendar. What happened, what did well, what went well, what didn't. The same here. Read the goals that you had for the week. Go over the tracking. You know, did I exercise at all the times that I was, or didn't I? And why? What happened? Why didn't it go according to plan? And then, you know, so what do I have to stop doing? I have to stop snoozing. Okay, I have to stop snoozing. Not snoozing in this week. Okay, what do I have to start to do? I have to start following through on my plans. If I write down, I'm gonna do this at this o'clock, I'm gonna do that. And then there are some good things that worked out well, and I'm gonna proceed with those. And in a week, I'm gonna go and I'm gonna review that and sort of reassess, is there anything? Sometimes we don't have to change anything. Sometimes things are just going according to plan. That's awesome. Then we know that. But we need to know it. That's the thing. Doing some daily reassessment. Some people are gonna be like, Anna, what's wrong with you? I'm not gonna do this daily. That's like, it's too much. But I think it's vital to do that. Because also when we do like a weekly plan, we know that things are going to change. There are always changes, no matter what. There's always going to be something that comes up that will change it, la 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 la. We have to be able to adjust to the changes and to things that happen to us and to, unexpected things. So doing this, either like in the evening before we go to sleep, or in the morning before our day, to go over like, okay, so initially I was going to do this and that on this day, but now I have this thing that I couldn't, get to do yesterday. So I, might have to rearrange this and this and that. I have to move this for tomorrow, arrange this, move this to here, etc., etc. This will take a lot of anxiety from us, because we create anxiety by having things on our lists that we know we're not going to be capable of getting through in the day. And then by going over it, reassessing it in a very realistic manner, just like, okay, I know it's not realistic to, do all these things that I've stacked up because I was sick on Monday. During the week, I have to make a new plan. I have to say, okay, what do I have to prioritize here? Like, okay, I have to prioritize exercise because that's like at top of my priority. But what else is there anything else that I can move until Friday or after the weekend? Something like that. Be sure about your priorities. yeah, that's something that also comes with doing the whys and all that things. Like, what really matters here? Feeding your family is also it's usually one of those things that are most important if you're in that situation. But yeah, go over the priorities. Do not punish yourself. If something doesn't go according to plan, if it didn't work out, if you failed, do not punish yourself. Just do a reassessment next weekend or whenever you sort of feel like going over it. Do a reassessment and just act according to that. It's very easy to say it. It's harder to execute. But that's super important to bear in mind, that things will get fucked up. They will for sure. You just have to be ready to readjust, to just, okay, this didn't work out. So, and learn from it. Just, okay, so next week I will try to do this. I will not try to exercise at this time because that just makes me super, super anxious and stressed and blah, blah, blah. So how can I make this work in another way that doesn't? And I think it's really important to make sure that our plans and all these things that we have to do, and there are always overwhelmingly many things we have to do. It's super important to have them aligned with things that we love doing, that we're not only doing things that are like chores. So yeah, just bear that in mind. Let me see. Yeah, I put up, these are like examples of ideas of good habits to implement, like, because we're talking about like starting slowly instead of starting 1st of January by, okay, I am not gonna use my phone the first hour in the morning. I'm gonna wake up 1 hour earlier to go to the gym. I'm gonna start using Pomodoro technique. I'm gonna explain what that is. I'm gonna do 6 variable, diverse exercises every week, and then I'm also gonna track all the food that I eat and find out how much I have to eat and my macros. So yeah, that's a lot of things to implement in January. It is. I'm sorry. So this is like an example or like a suggestion of how you could divide them on 6 months or 5 months, actually. Like, December, I'm gonna go for I'm gonna test out not opening my phone for the first hour of the day. In January, I'm gonna wake up 1 hour earlier to be able to meditate and get an hour for myself to sort of prepare myself for the day. In February, I'm gonna start to try out using Pomodoro technique. Pomodoro technique is one of those productivity techniques where you have a timer and you put it on 25 minutes, work for 25 minutes. You're not allowed to have any other distraction. You shouldn't have your phone close to you. And in 25 minutes, you have to stop, take a 5-minute break, and then it goes over again, like for 2, 3, 4 hours, whatever you need. This is one of those methods to sort of get productivity in place. It does work for some people, it doesn't for others. Some people like to use, I think, like 60-minute or 90-minute sort of spaces to work. But the most important thing is that we create those spaces to work on only that thing, nothing else, with no distractions. And this one's a challenge, at least for me. So, but it's super helpful to have some kinds of systems like that. Yeah, our affirmations and mantras. Yeah, that was one thing that I was going to go through. It's very important to find those kinds of affirmations or mantras for ourselves to change our mindset, to rewire our brains. And like I told you earlier, I have a blog post on my website that I wrote a few days ago about what the perfect mantra that fits us has to have in place, like the checklist for it. So that's on my website, annaolafsdottir.com. About mantras, these are just a few examples of them. And those are, for you that are on Instagram, I can read them. I say yes to me and no to others. That's something that I was talking about earlier. I've got my own back. I become stronger every day. Every fallback in trauma makes me more valuable. I step into my fear and face it. I can take space. My past does not define me. I deserve all the best. I cannot control what happens to me, but I can control how I react. I don't punish myself even though I make mistakes. These are just a few very simple examples of mantras. Mantras work for some people and they can be really, really, really powerful. And if you read my blog post, you will sort of find out what I'm talking about. But also making like a vision board or something like that is also very, can be very powerful, effective, because then we have the visual stimulation. We have the visuals to sort of then we have pictures to sort of stimulate, like, yeah, you know, to remind ourselves of who we want to be, what kind of person we're creating. So sorry, I got some notification. Yeah, that was some bad distraction. Okay, so what I want you to do now, I want you to take 5 minutes. No, not 5 minutes, 2 minutes. I want you to go to the if you have the workbook, to the page where it says gratitude and pride. And I want you to write down 10 things that you are grateful for in your life today. Or let's say just last year. If we think about last year, 10 things that you're grateful for last year, like something that happened to you, or people in your life, or events in your life, or some changes or whatever. 10 things, and then 10 things that you are proud about, or you're proud of yourself of achieving last year. So 10 of each, 10 things you're grateful for, 10 things you're proud of. And I'll give you 2 minutes to do that. And I encourage everybody to sit down and use the time now and do this, because this is super effective. I will explain why in a second. So 2 minutes start now. Okay, guys, 2 minutes are up. By now, you should have about 10 things that you were grateful for last year, and 10 things that you were proud about having done, having achieved, whatever. Why do we do this? Why do we do this? This is something that I personally recommend doing every day. To do a gratitude log and pride log. And the reason, let me make this full screen again. the reason is that the things that we're grateful for, and if we remind ourselves of them regularly, we magnify them and attract more of them. The same with the things that we're proud of. We magnify them and remind ourselves of them, because our tendency is very often for many of us to rather remember the negative things from our past. Remembering our failures, remembering our drawbacks or flaws, instead of focusing on the other things. And here we go again, and back to these things of what we focus on, we manifest. What we focus on, we get. And this is something that we hear all the time, and it's so tiring. And it gets so, it gets really tiring hearing it all over again. But basically, it works. What we repeat, what we tell ourselves every day, what we write down, especially with pen and paper, write down, journal, having a book like that that's just like all covered in ugly writing. But it's nice to have many different colors. That makes it more fun. But yeah, it changes things immensely to do this, to just have some crappy little book and just like, oh, today I am thankful for, and remembering what you're thankful for, especially when we're in a bad mood or something shitty is going on. It's just like, what can I be thankful for? Okay, I'm thankful for having a house. I have food to eat. I have great friends. I have a mother who supports me. Whatever it is, it's gonna affect your life in the end, and magnify the good things in your life. That's simply a fact. Simply a proven fact. Okay, so with the mantras, in the workbook, I have a page dedicated for affirmations, which basically are mantras, I think. Right? And I'm going to ask you to try to find mantras that work for you, like that work for your goal. I'm not going to do it right now, and I'm going to ask you to do it in your own time. But I really want you to think about how you can manifest and implement the affirmation that you need in your life right now, and how you can go about journaling or putting down regularly the things that you're grateful for and proud of in your life. And I know this is something that I think I came onto this in the Facebook Live I did a few days ago about positive psychology. Positive psychology is really popular now, and it's like think positive thoughts, and be positive, and just try to smile and everything. And I mean, it's absolutely valid. It is, and it works. That's the thing. But it's also, sometimes it becomes almost toxic. It's like, you can't smile yourself through everything. That's the thing. But still, this works, and having those things around, focusing on the positive, focusing on our what we're proud of and what we're grateful for, it changes things. At the same time, we also have to go through our dark valleys and dark nights of the soul and everything in our hero's journey. But doing a gratitude log, doing pride log, recommended so much. Cannot explain it. Also recommend learning to meditate. If you are not doing it regularly at the moment, if there's anything that you can do this year, if there's anything that I encourage you to try out and change in your life this year, if you're not doing it already, it's try to meditate every day for at least 10 minutes. You can start with 2 minutes and then work yourself up, but 10 minutes up to 15, 30 minutes is something that I promise will open up things for you, because it forces you to listen to your heart, to listen to your gut, which, like I said earlier, is something that we try to avoid a lot of times we try to avoid it. We love having all the shit that's going on in society and all our thoughts and all our change. We love to have it distract us, but we're not living our authentic truth unless we manage to listen to our hearts. That's just a fact. Okay, I was gonna move on. We're almost there, guys. There are some more pages in the workbook, but I want you to take use of them yourselves and find out if there's something that is of value for you and use it and fill in the rest of the information regarding your goals and everything. Please let me know if you have any questions. I wanted to just quickly go through procrastination. And procrastination is something that I know and I myself have experienced a lot. And I know many people do all the time, very often. So why do we procrastinate? Why do we procrastinate? Why do we do it? Is it because we're so busy? So busy. I'm just so busy. I cannot get through to doing this thing, that I have to do to reach my goal. So, I cannot get to it because I'm just so busy. Usually that's not a valid excuse in most cases. Because if it is important to us enough, and if we've done our whys, why am I doing this? Why do I have to reach this goal? And why is it important? And who does it serve? How does it benefit me? How will it change my life? How will it change somebody else's life? And just clear that up. Clarity. Then we know that there is no excuse to not find time to do this thing. It's not that we don't have time, it's just that we're not prioritizing right. We are not creating the time. We have to do that. We have to create the time. Also, what helps here, we have this circle of procrastination. What helps as well, if we have our whys, is like we did with our goal. Look into a crystal ball. Okay, I'm going year ahead in my crystal ball. I'm looking at my life. I'm looking at my year. How did my year go? Everything that happened. And here are all the things that I failed at so that I didn't reach my goal. And these are all the things that I'm familiar with and are the reason why I didn't follow up or I did procrastinate and etc. etc. When we have those things clear, like we work from the thing of knowing where we're gonna fail, we're not gonna fail because we're gonna prevent those failures. We're gonna make plans so that they don't happen because we're aware of it. Clarity, skýrleiki. So having clarity on our failures or our potential failures, on our procrastinative tendencies. How are we gonna not procrastinate? By listening to me now about this. That's one way to not procrastinate. Time. Put down time. Just decide on a time when you're gonna do a thing and stick to it. Put it down a time. I'm gonna do this at this time in this place for this amount of time. So it's just all clear. I'm gonna do this at this o'clock. It doesn't matter what else is going on in my life. I'm gonna do this thing at this time. And the sun has to fall down from the sky for me not to do it, basically. So that's the plan. Time it and be specific with it and follow through on it. And I know this is a challenge and this is a trial and error thing, but this is something that we have to do. Having a time. Like I'm gonna do a webinar on goal setting on 3rd of January at 4 o'clock. And that's in my diary and I have to do it. I just have to do it. I cannot procrastinate on it. I cannot move it. It's gonna happen then. Yep. And the sun would have had to fall down from the sky for me not to do it, basically. The 5-second rule, that's also a thing that comes from, it's a concept that comes from Mel Robbins as well. And Mel Robbins, for you that don't know, is a motivational speaker. She hates that phrase. I know her so well. who works a lot with behavioral changes and how we can sort of rewire our brains to work with us and not against us. And the 5-second rule is one very interesting thing where when we have an impulse to do something, or we get an idea, or we know that we have to do something, we count down from 5, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and then react on it. We cannot do it. We have to count down from just 5 and then do it. It's the same with thoughts. When we get a thought or like an impulse about saying something in a meeting or whatever, if we count down from 5 and then just now I have to do it. I have to say what I was thinking. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, do. If I don't do it, the impulse is gone. I don't remember if this is scientifically proven. I think so. But, just read a book or like a recap from it or something. The 5-second rule. And then, like we were talking about in the goal setting thing, reassess. Go over this process again and again. Find the right system. How can I stop procrastinating on implementing this habit, on starting working on this goal? Whatever it is that we need to do, the needle movers, define and clarify the needle movers that will get us closer to it and put them as a priority. Priority is mostly about prioritizing right. That's the thing. It's not that we don't have time. Okay, 99% of the time it's not that we don't have time. Sometimes it's genuinely like that. Usually it's not. Usually it's a matter of prioritizing. Okay, so that was that was a bonus. Yeah, I also wanted to go up like quickly through the compass. Áttavitin. I have a term that I created. Some of you might have heard it. It's to be áttaviltur. Áttavilt. It's like a translation of the phrase in English that's shitting all over yourself. Like when you are you're so sort of obsessed with or focused on doing everything that you feel like you should be doing, and shitting. I should be eating healthier. I should be exercising more. I should have finished the degree. I should have more children. I should be married by now, whatever. Yeah, that's shitting all over yourself. And it's very good to be aware of when we're shitting ourselves. When we're áttavilt. Ég ætti nú að vera að gera þetta. Does it come from within us or does it come from somewhere else? That's very important to sort of go through. Okay, so this is the end of the slide. So I just wanted to end on this note that wait a second, did I have something else here? Yeah. Bear with me. Okay, so like I did, and I showed you in the beginning, I did this document here, blue paper, where I wrote down all the things that I want to leave in 2021. And I really recommend doing this. You just need one paper, A4 paper, and write down all the things like, these things did not serve me in 2021. I'm not going to take them with me. And these are things like excuses, imposter syndrome, procrastinating, scarcity mindset, anxiety, something like that, shitting all over myself, and more fun things that I'm gonna burn. I will be physically burning this document. That's just something that, I know that will be like a cathartic thing for me. And but only writing it down helps. It really crystallizes. Yeah, these things. This does not serve me, and makes you more aware of not doing it in the new year. I wanted to tell you about, if you're not there already, that I have a Facebook group called Life Authentic or Livsneistin on Facebook. I really encourage you to be there if you're not yet. I have a lot of sort of inspirational free training and stuff like that going on. If you are interested in working with me on having me as a coach or being in one of my programs that I'm starting in February, I have a program coming up for women that I'm really excited to announce. It will be a 12-month program. I also have a one-on-one coaching program. At the moment, it's 12-week program. It can be expanded to 12 months if that suits the individual better and their goals and their life. But it's set up as a 12-week program where we meet once a week for a one-on-one session. And I will keep you accountable between the sessions with what you're working on each week. And in my work, I especially focus on those things, on gaining clarity, which positions us in time, space, and the general outlook of our life, sort of that we have the clarity where we stand and what we really want. We go over vitality, which is physical and mental energy to tackle daily tasks, basically how much and how can we improve our mental and physical energy. Bravery, how much courage it says the courage to stand up for ourselves and our dreams. How much we are able and willing to go outside our comfort zones and grow. Performance is also one thing I will tackle and go through. That's like our ability to perform in a systematic, effective manner with high levels of presence. Presence is very important here, surprisingly, actually. But and then the fifth thing is impact, which I define as the ability and power to mediate knowledge, experience, and skills. How much impact we have on our environment, on our communities, on the earth, whatever, where we want to focus, basically. But these 5 things I work especially with in my 12-week program. I have an opportunity to sign up for a free 60-minute session with me now. And the link is in the Facebook group at the moment. You can sign up for it. You have to answer some questions so that I know if you are actually ready to do some work and are ready to go for it. But the 60-minute session is free, and I really, really encourage you to sign up for it. It's very valuable. We go over all those 5 dimensions of life, like in a sort of a shallow manner because it's only one session. But when you work with me, we go into it on a more deep level, very deep levels actually. So this is all something that is up on my website, annaolafsdottir.com. So you can find information on that. You can send me a message. You can register for this discovery call or this free session, basically, where you can also figure out if this is something that will work for you, or just basically simply take the advantage of the work that I will do with you for the 60 minutes. So please do. I have a booking link on Facebook, and I will put it probably when I post this video. I think I have covered everything, surprisingly. It's now 6:30. Are there any questions before we end this? Any questions? No. Are there any questions? Well, if not, I'm just very, very thankful and happy for you guys that attended here. Please take use of this workbook. And if you guys on Instagram or who are watching afterwards want to have this workbook, just email me or send me a message and I can send it to you. It's very good to have it just to sort of have something to guide you. But generally, I just recommend having a planner, having a Google Calendar that you sort of sync with a planner, and having an empty journal to put down things like gratitude, pride log, thoughts, everything that comes to mind at any given time. So thank you so much for this, and I see you in the group and in the next session that I will host, which is going to be exciting. So exciting to announce that. Takk fyrir frábæran og fræðandi fyrirlestur, skemmtileg nálgun og hluti sem maður veit. Takk fyrir. Og takk, já, takk sömuleiðis. Thank you so much, guys. I'm so happy that you could, spend the time here with me. And I hope you took something out of it. I know these are mostly things that we know. That's the thing. We know these things, but sometimes we just have to have somebody tell it to us and look at them from a different perspective. And takk sömuleiðis. Thank you so much. Okay, guys, on Instagram, I'm going to say goodbye to you now. See you later. And namaste. Gleðilegt ár. Message me if you have any questions. Yeah, I was going to say that the ones that attend the meeting, that attended the webinar, if you have a goal or something that you want me to be accountable for with you for the next 4 weeks, I can check on you in 4 weeks, and if you want to, only if you want to, I can just send you a message like, hey, how is the goal going? Just if you want to have like somebody who is, on your back with checking on if your goal is, heading in the right direction or something. So just message me if you want that, and just do it, absolutely for you, for attending this webinar. Okay, guys, thanks so much. See you later. Bye bye.